So first, let's understand that first, before the announcement was made, there was an emergency meeting called. I'd like to know what prompted this meeting, and now that we're seeing this outcome.
Thank you for having me. It's been a long time coming. It's not that the government has been unaware. There have been a lot of steps been going on for quite a while. You would recall that last quarter, well, the Q4 of 2018, the Vice President himself was in the Apapa region, first by helicopter, and he was on ground speaking with stakeholders. So we've been trying to solve this issue for a number of months. Having been unsuccessful in it reached a stage where the President just had to say, look, 2 weeks, and all this has got to be dealt with, because it just became, existential for the economy.
So, but when you look at how this issue has evolved over the years, do you think just the presidential directive is just enough to solve it? Are there other plans in the works to see that the workability of this is seen?
There are other plans that there have been plans. It's not, at least personally, I've been working on ports reforms, infrastructure, processes, people issues for 3 years now. It's complex, but not undoable. So it's a matter of a hard stop. Mr. President has said, look, whatever the case, get it done. We had different challenges. There was the road, there's lack of trailer parks, there's people issues, rent-seeking opportunities, a whole ecosystem that just was not, terminal operators, shipping lines, almost everybody has a part to play. And we've had several stakeholder engagements with stakeholders. We all know what the issues are. Everybody needs to play their part and do what needs to be done.
All right, let's get into all of the issues. You kind of hit the nail on the head on quite all the issues that are there. Because when you look at the rent-seeking part, we're seeing thugs and others trying to make a quick buck from the issue there. But I'd like you to speak to how yes, I understand that you've met with some of the stakeholders in there as PEBEC, but I'd like to get some of the feedback you got from them when you sat with them.
Well, different constituencies have different issues. You have the Nigerian Ports Authorities, you have Shippers Council on the government side, you have police, you have Nigerian Navy. Then you have shipping lines themselves, terminal operators. They have to work together. So while Nigerian Ports Authority may have some issues with the terminal operators, you can be sure the terminal operators also have some issues with Nigerian Ports Authority, the same with Shippers Council and shipping lines. So the stakeholders themselves are not unaware of the issues that and we have sort of mediated, being a bit apart from the actual constituency, and we've been able to say, look, you need to listen to each other and you need to work together to get this done. The trucks just need to be off there, the empty containers, where to put them, the road issues. So everybody has said, everyone knows what the issues are. We've been tackling them one by one. The Ministry of Power Works and Housing has been working on the road also. They also have another trailer park that's almost completion, nearing completion. They have some stuff to do there. But NPA has taken a step. Lily Pond, that was concession, had been revoked just because of the urgency of the situation. It's not that trailer parks are the work of the Nigerian Ports Authority, but they had to take that emergency step. Terminal operators and shipping lines have to have where to put empty containers. So, Apapa Ports is disproportionately utilized by Nigerian trading ecosystem.
All right, but
yeah.
But let's look at now the presidential task force, the shape it's going to take and how they're going to implement their actions going forward.
It's going to be not very different from what has occurred before. You need collaboration. It's going to be led by the Nigerian Police Force. The Vice President has chaired a number of meetings with the IG in attendance, representation of the Nigerian Navy, and come to a consensus the Nigerian Police Force with LASMA, working in collaboration with Lagos State Government, should lead the task force. NPA has a big role to play. Customs have their own role to play. Everything that everyone does affects. So if I start going into the nitty-gritty, but I think the public knows what I'm trying to say, that there needs to be order. There needs to be somebody in charge. Someone's call-up system needs to be, so the Nigerian Ports Authority call-up system will prevail. We had two previously. We had the Navy with a call-up system and the NPA with a call-up system. So you had that. And then you have the role of the police force, the role of LASMA. So they have to work together, and that's what the task force has done. The IG has nominated a representative. They've been planning for a while now, getting ready. We've been working on this, so the directive was announced, but there has already been background work. So it's not that Mr. President's announced it now and we're just going to start working on it. When you say how can it happen in 2 weeks, this work has been going on for quite a while. It's the execution that needs to happen within 2 weeks, and there's going to be consequence management on this issue. Yeah,
but because when I listen to you now, it kind of seems that at the heart of this is the port processes that are the main hindrance.
The port processes are part of it, but I wouldn't say that it's specifically the ports operators or Nigerian ports authorities that should hold the can on this issue. For that, we definitely need more scanners, a single window, ports community, and that also has been approved by the Federal Executive Council. There's been a lot of work on that system with NSIA, a number of stakeholders, Customs, Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Transport, NPA itself, and the FEC, that's the Federal Executive Council, just approved that that process can go on. That means Nigeria can now have a national trading platform.
All right, but let's look at this now, because I'm looking at all what you've said, and I'm thinking, if we have a call-up system that is driven by efficient technology, that should kind of solve at least 50% of the problem.
Well, maybe not 50%, but that's a big part. Right now, the call-up systems are manual, but NPA has also been mandated, and I think by August, I believe, they should have an electronic call-up system. But call-up systems, of course, you only leverage, if you leverage technology without having what you need to in place, then it defeats the whole purpose. So the trailer parks and the system of where the trucks are coming from, where the containers are going to, those are really the key issues for any call-up system to be efficient.
All right, but you mentioned the work the federal government is doing, but then I'm thinking on the state level, state government level, I see that the Lagos state government has also tried on its own bit. I see they just commissioned about they approved about 6 billion to build a terminal to house some of this. But this is not going to solve the problem for right now. In the meantime, while all the ducks are coming in a row, what is the system in place to make sure that, yes, they meet the ultimatum, but beyond that there's some level of order going forward?
Yeah, so there have been a number of things happening for the longer term. We always look at reforms like this in short term, the immediate term, the medium term, and the long term. So a number of things. You recall that the road was really a hot mess. The road has been rehabilitated now. There are other roads that are being worked on. I know that Federal Ministry of Works has issued, all the procurement is out. So it's now making sure that the contractors are adequately mobilized and meeting their timelines. You also have to have the technology in place. You have to have the discipline. Remove let's just be frank, the known rent-seeking opportunities that have been going on the system. A number of stakeholders, both on the private side and the public side, making money from the chaotic situation. I think really the biggest problem is the people problem. And it's beyond just government. It's also private sector. So understanding that, look, this game has gone on long enough. Mr. President has said, look, within the next 2 weeks, everybody get in line. And the particular enforcement of it, including especially from the public sector side, with the police, LASMA, state and federal working together to make sure this is done. The Navy is no longer going to be, the Navy had come to support traffic management and had a call-up, but the Navy has been asked to no longer be part of that. So it's going to be led by the police in collaboration with all the other agencies.
Okay, looking at how this issue has, kind of grown over the years and how it has impacted business in the area, I'd like to look at the economic cost, on one hand, and then also by how much you think this will move the needle on the ease of doing business in Nigeria if it is finally resolved.
So the ease of doing business, it has to do with, like I said, this is a particular bottleneck. It borders on infrastructure, which is being worked on. Like you said, there's some quicker fixes, palliatives with the roads and this and that, but there are longer-term infrastructure requirements. I alluded to the single window and the use of scanners so that you can have risk-based assessment of cargo. That's one side of it. You also have the processes. So how we do what we do. We reduced the number of documentation a while back. That's the PEBEC. We used to need 14 pieces of documentation, written documentation, for imports into Nigeria, and we reduced that to 8. And we needed 10 pieces of documentation for export, and reduced that to 7. But what we want is to actually go paperless. So when you have the portal, a Nigerian economic trading portal, every valid agency and stakeholder can plug in electronically, see where their cargo is, make their payments, and that's where we really want to go. So it's people, processes, and infrastructure.
Very quickly, I just need to just give me a sense of how often we'll expect to see progress reports from the ports.
Well, I wouldn't preempt the task force. They have work now. It's not a situation. So the 2 weeks is to clear the gridlock. And we know it can be done. It has been done before. It's done on occasion when there's maybe, we've got a lot of flack when Mr. President is coming into town. Suddenly, the gridlock is completely gone. So we want to keep that permanently and make sure that there's accountability. Really from the top, all the people in charge need to make sure down the line their officers toe the line. So that's it, the discipline and the people issues and the consequence management. But beyond that, there are a number of interventions that are in the pipelines and need to be adhered to. It's really vital for ease of doing business. Of course, you know that. The ports, we're an importing nation and trying to be an exporting one as well. So it can't be overstated how important it is for that.
All right, then. Thank you so much for your time on the show today. I've been speaking to Jumoke Oduwole. She's the Secretary of the Presidential Enabling Business Environment Council and Senior Special Assistant to the Vice President.